I was bound to the cold execution rack by the immortal binding rope, my spiritual power sealed, unable to move a muscle. The man opposite me, the leader of the righteous path, immortal venerable Xie Buyan, was clad in snow-white robes, his expression colder than the sword in his hand. It is said he has slain countless demons, the nightmare of all demonic cultivators. His thin lips parted, his voice devoid of any warmth. Demonis Su Jiuli, do you admit your guilt? I sneered inwardly. So be it if I die. In 18 years, I'll be a fine fox again. Just as I was ready to meet my death with dignity, a completely different voice clearly pierced into my mind. Wow, it's a nine-tailed fox, a live one. Its ears are even twitching. I really want to touch it. No, Xie Buyan. You must stay composed. You're the leader of the righteous path. Me. Hello, everyone. Welcome to my channel. Subscribe us to read wonderful stories every day. Now, the story begins. I abruptly raised my head, staring in disbelief at the man before me whose face was as cold as ice. The voice, clear and crisp, carried a hint of barely suppressed excitement, unmistakably coming from his perpetually icy face. Yet what he said was, "Which? This venerable one is asking you a question, don't you dare play deaf and dumb." His tone was severe, his gaze icy, as if he were about to execute me on the spot the very next second. But that voice echoed in my mind again, tinged with an almost maddening urgency. Why is she staring at me like that? Is my expression not fierce enough? I need to look even fiercer, can't let her see what I'm thinking. But her tails, 9 snow-white tails spread out on the ground like a blooming snow lotus, so fluffy, they must feel amazing to touch. I really want to bury my face in them. Me. I glanced down at my own 9 tails, limp and weak from exhaustion, then looked at the immortal before me, ethereal, righteous, and dignified, and felt my worldview shatter like never before. This Xie Buyan, the #1 figure of the righteous path, the pinnacle of the cultivation world, is actually an incurable fluff lover. And, can I actually hear his inner thoughts? What kind of novel immortal technique is this? Or have I been beaten into hallucination? To test my conjecture, I tentatively wiggled my ears. That pair of fluffy fox ears, matching my current weak and innocent expression, trembled slightly. Xie Buyan's hand gripping the sword hilt suddenly tightened. The frost on his face deepened as he scolded, "Fiend, how dare you flirt shamelessly before me?" As she moved her ears, like 2 little fluffy flowers trembling. So cute, adorable to death. No, Xie Buyan, you're here to interrogate her, not to watch a fox act cute. Calm down, maintain your aloof persona. Phut, I almost couldn't hold back my laughter. So all those rumors about the immortal sect were lies. What aloof and ascetic, what indifferent to women. He's clearly a secret pervert who can't resist anything fluffy. This discovery gave me, who had been utterly hopeless, a sudden glimpse of hope for survival. I suppressed the smile in my eyes and deliberately put on a pitiful look, my voice even trembling with a sob. "Immortal venerable, I didn't mean to, it's just that this immortal binding rope is hurting me so much." As I spoke, one of my tails behind me inadvertently gently brushed against the edge of his boot. That soft touch lasted only for a moment. Xie Buyan froze completely, like a statue that had been struck by an acupoint strike. His face remained cold, but at the base of his ears, a suspicious blush quietly crept up. She touched me, her tail touched me, so soft, so smooth, like the finest cloud brocade. Is this the feel of a fox's tail? I'm dead, Xie Buyan. Where is your dignity as the leader of the righteous path? Move your foot away. But what if I can't move? The barrage of thoughts in his mind had turned into a waterfall, while he himself maintained a cold expression that seemed to say, "Try moving again, you fiend." Yet his foot remained rooted in place, unmoving. My heart is blooming with joy. It seems that my little life is temporarily safe for now. Immortal venerable, I blinked, my voice growing even more pitiful. "Are you angry?" Xie Buyan seemed startled by my voice. Abruptly taking a step back as if my tail were some kind of monstrous beast, he cleared his throat, trying to cover up his awkwardness, but his eyes darted around, refusing to look at the tail behind me. "Smooth talker," he said coldly, "considering your cultivation hasn't been easy, I'll temporarily imprison you in the Demon Lock Tower at Tian Shu Peak. Once I've investigated your background as a demon sect enchantress, a decision will be made. The Demon Lock Tower, no. It's too cold there. The floor is made of icy iron, it would freeze her poor pads, and her tail would definitely get chilly lying on the ground. I need to think of a solution. He says he wants to lock me up in the harshest Demon Lock Tower, but in his heart, he's worried my paws might get cold. I held back my laughter and continued my act. Thank you for your mercy, Immortal Venerable. I lowered my head and looked extremely obedient. He seemed quite satisfied with my attitude. And with a cold expression, he flicked his sleeve. Someone, take her away. Two Immortal Sect disciples stepped forward, untied the immortal binding rope from me, replaced it with a pair of shackles that suppressed demonic power, and escorted me out. As I passed by Xie Buyan, I deliberately stumbled, my body uncontrollably leaning toward him. He almost instinctively reached out to steady me, my cheek pressed squarely against the cool, cloud-patterned cuff of his sleeve. My furry ear also brushed against the back of his hand. In that instant, I clearly heard the sound of his sharp intake of breath, along with the earth-shattering, tsunami-like scream echoing in his mind. My ear. It's the feeling of an ear, so soft and warm, even softer than a tail. Her face is so small too. I'm actually holding her. What do I do? What do I do? Should I push her away? If I push her away, will she fall? But if I don't, what will others think of me? His mind was in turmoil. But his body was honest. His hands held me steadily without the slightest intention of letting go. The two disciples restraining me were stunned. Everyone knew their master, Xie Buyan, had a cleanliness obsession and kept strangers at a distance, especially demons and monsters, not to mention touching. Even getting too close would earn you a death glare from him. But now, he was actually personally supporting a demon cult enchantress, and a fox spirit at that. I lifted my head from his embrace and gave him a weak, grateful smile. Thank you, Immortal Venerable One. Xie Buyan's face flushed crimson in an instant, spreading from the roots of his ears down to his neck. He abruptly let go, as if scalded, turned around and strode away. His steps hurried, even carrying a hint of fleeing in panic. Take him away quickly, keep a close watch on him. The voice was still cold, but anyone could detect a trace of fluster in it. How embarrassing. Xie Buyan, you actually blushed. You blushed at a seductress. Where is your Daoist heart? Your pristine reputation? It's over. It's over. Someone must have seen. Was she laughing at me just now? She must be laughing at me, listening to his internal monologue fading into the distance. The curve of my smile grew wider and wider. Xie Buyan, this game seems to be getting more and more interesting. I was ultimately not imprisoned in the frigid Demon Lock Tower. Xie Buyan, citing that the demonic aura in the Demon Lock Tower is too heavy and may interfere with the interrogation, confined me to a secluded courtyard next to his residence on Tianshu Peak. The courtyard was adorned with flowers and plants, along with a massive phoenix tree, creating a serene and tranquil environment even more elegant than my demonic sect's cave abode. The furnishings in the room were even more exquisite. The floor was covered with a thick white tiger fur rug, and the bed was made of heavenly silkworm silk bedding, so soft one could sink right into it. The disciples escorting me were almost dumbfounded. This was no way to detain a major criminal, it was more like welcoming a distinguished guest. After they delivered me, they hurriedly left. As if staying a second longer would be a blasphemy against their aloof master. The shackles on me were still there, but they only sealed most of my demonic power, and my movement wasn't restricted. Without any hesitation, I rolled around on the tiger skin rug, then jumped onto the soft, large bed, stretching out my 9 tails and letting out a comfortable sigh. Xie Buyan, quite the one to care for a fox. In the dead of night, as I was sleeping in a daze, I suddenly sensed a familiar, chilly aura approaching. I immediately became alert and pricked up my ears. It was Xie Buyan. He stood silently by my bedside, the moonlight streaming through the window frame and casting a silvery glow upon him. He thought I was asleep and watched me motionless for a long time. What was he thinking? I closed my eyes and focused my mind to listen. She looks so well behaved when asleep, not at all like the rumored murderous demoness. Her face is only the size of a palm, with such long eyelashes. And her tail, it's all curled up, like a giant fluffy ball. I really want to poke it. Me, big brother, you came to my room in the middle of the night just to watch me sleep and poke my tail. Where is the dignity of the righteous leader? I could feel his fingers tracing a vague motion in the air, as if mimicking the act of poking my tail, but in the end, he didn't dare to actually do it. No, it'll wake her up, he sighed, his tone full of regret. Then he took something out of his storage ring and gently placed it on my bedside table. It was a plate of pastries. The delicate and small Osmanthus cake was still steaming faintly. She's been captured for a day. She must be hungry. The demon sect people eat raw meat and bloody food. I wonder if she'll like this. This was my favorite treat before. I hope she likes it too. After placing the snack, he stood by the bed for a while longer before reluctantly turning to leave. His footsteps were as light as a cat's, until his breath had completely faded away. I opened my eyes and looked at the plate of Osmanthus cakes on the bedside table. A sweet fragrance lingered at the tip of my nose. I picked up a piece and put it in my mouth, sweet but not cloying, melting instantly on the tongue. Somewhere deep inside, it felt as though something had gently touched my heart. This reserved immortal lord, it seems, isn't so annoying after all. In the following days, I lived a life like a pig, sleeping during the day, basking in the sun, grooming my beautiful tail. At night, Xie Buyan would sneak into my room like a fairy tale housekeeper. Oh no, an immortal lord housekeeper, bringing me all kinds of delicious treats, from delicate pastries to the aromatic roast chicken, and even a pot of fine peach blossom wine. He always comes when I'm asleep, leaves the food, gazes at my sleeping face and tail like a lovesick fool for a while, then leaves satisfied. The inner monologue in his heart has shifted from initial conflict and struggle to now being completely self-assured. She's the captive I caught, so of course I'm responsible for her meals and can't let her starve. Yes, that's it. Today's roast chicken smells great, crispy on the outside and tender on the inside. She should like it. This peach blossom wine doesn't have a strong after effect. It should be fine to give her a little, right? She seems quite bored staying in the yard every day. Every day, I pretend to be asleep, listening to his inner monologue, and I'm almost bursting with suppressed laughter. That day, as usual, he brought a plate of freshly baked hibiscus pastries. After putting down the plate, he didn't leave immediately as usual, but instead sat down on my bedside. I could feel his gaze, burning hotly on my tail. I really want to touch it, just once. She's sleeping so soundly, she probably won't notice. His hand, trembling, slowly reached toward my largest and fluffiest mane tail. Here it comes. He's finally going to do it. My heart was racing with a mix of nervousness and anticipation, and I held my breath. His fingertips, cool to the touch, gently brushed against the tip of my tail. In that instant, I felt all the fur on my body stand on end, and a strange electric current shot from the tip of my tail throughout my entire body, and Xie Buyan's heart was practically setting off a grand fireworks display. I touched it. Oh my God, it's even softer than I imagined, and so smooth. Is this heaven? My life is complete. I have no regrets in this life. His fingers, ever so carefully, followed the line of my fur, from the tip of my tail all the way to the base. The motion was so gentle, as if he were handling some priceless treasure. I couldn't help but let out a soft, contented moan. His movements abruptly halted, and his breath caught in his throat. Is she awake? Is she awake? Oh no, how do I explain this? Say I was sleepwalking, or that there was a mosquito. His mind was in chaos, his body stiff as a stone. I stifled a laugh, turned over, and pretended to be talking in my sleep. Master, stop fooling around. This master was how I used to address my nominal master back in the demon sect, and it came in handy as an excuse just now. Xie Buyan visibly breathed a sigh of relief. So it was just a dream. You scared me to death. He patted his chest, still shaken. Then his gaze once again fixed on my tail. She seems to really enjoy having her tail stroked, and she made such adorable sounds just now. Maybe I'll do it one more time, just once. And so, this righteous leader abandoned all his dignity and principles, extended his sinful hands, and began to thoroughly stroke my fox tail. As he stroked, he let out a satisfied sigh in my mind. So comfortable, I really want to touch all 9 tails. How can such an adorable creature exist? I was so thoroughly petted that my whole body went weak, almost losing the act of being sound asleep. This seemingly reserved guy, so prim and proper on the surface, is actually so obsessed with fluffy things in private. This secret is known only to me. About half a month passed like this. Thanks to Xie Buyan's sneaky feeding of various miraculous elixirs, my injuries were mostly healed, and my sealed demonic power had also recovered quite a bit, and Xie Buyan's technique of stroking my tail has become increasingly skillful. From the initial furtive attempts to the later open and above-board actions, while I was asleep, and sometimes even grooming my fur, I've grown too lazy to pretend anymore. Every time he comes, I actively extend my tail, letting him do as he pleases, and the inner monologue in his heart has shifted from the initial excitement to the warmth of an old married couple. Ju'er's fur seems even shinier today, so beautiful. She seems to really like this pressure. So comfortable that her ears are drooping. How about braiding her hair? No, that's too frivolous. He even privately gave me an affectionate nickname, calling me Ju'er. I listened to the gentle calls of Ju'er in his heart, then looked at his still frosty face, feeling both incredibly torn and amused. That day, the peaceful days were shattered. A woman's arrival broke the unspoken understanding between Xie Buyan and me. The visitor was Liu Qingyao, the daughter of the Tian Shu Peak's head, and also Xie Buyan's junior sister. She wore a long goose yellow dress, with a beautiful face, and was renowned as a beauty in the immortal sect, widely regarded as the most likely candidate to become Xie Buyan's Dao companion. Holding a food box, she walked gracefully into the small courtyard. Seeing me basking in the sun in the yard, a flash of undisguised jealousy and disgust flickered in her eyes. "Senior brother," she approached Xie Buyan, who was reading at the stone table in the courtyard, her voice so soft it seemed to drip with tenderness. "I've made lotus seed soup for you. Please try it." Xie Buyan looked up from the scroll, his expression indifferent. "Thank you for your trouble, junior sister." What is she doing here? She better not be here to cause trouble for Ju'er. "Oh, so you know how to protect your food now." I lazily shifted my posture, my 9 tails shimmering brilliantly in the sunlight, deliberately swaying them gently in Liu Qingyao's direction. Liu Qingyao's expression grew even more unpleasant. Xie Buyan's gaze was indeed immediately drawn to my tail, his eyes softening by a third. "The weather is so nice. Ju'er's tail is all fluffy from the sun, just like cotton candy. I really want to take a bite." Me, hey, your thoughts are getting more and more dangerous." Liu Qingyao naturally noticed Xie Buyan's distraction. Following his gaze, her face instantly turned ashen. She could no longer maintain the facade of a gentle junior sister, her voice turning shrill. "Senior brother, why have you kept this demoness here? She's a murderous witch from the demonic sect. Aren't you afraid she might harm you?" Xie Buyan withdrew his gaze, frowning slightly. "I've sealed her demonic powers. She can't harm anyone. Keeping her here makes it easier for me to interrogate her. Interrogation is just an excuse. The real reason is you want to see her every day," he added silently in his heart. Liu Qingyao, however, refused to let it go. "Interrogation? You've been interrogating for half a month, and what have you found out? I think you're clearly bewitched by this vixen." This remark seemed to step on Xie Buyan's tail. His face instantly darkened, and the pressure around him was terrifyingly low. "Junior sister Liu, watch your words." His voice carried a warning. "My actions are not for you to question. How dare you call my Ju'er a fox spirit, even if she is one? Only I can call her that. Who do you think you are?" The little man inside Xie Buyan was already flipping tables in rage. Liu Qingyao took a step back, intimidated by his imposing manner. Her eyes reddened as she said with grievance, "Senior brother, I was just worried about you." "No need." Xie Buyan cut her off, his tone leaving no room for argument. "Go back. From now on, you are not to set foot in this courtyard without my permission." It was a blatant order of expulsion. Liu Qingyao's face flushed red and then turned pale. In the end, she shot me a resentful glare and ran off in tears. The courtyard returned to silence. Xie Buyan watched her departing figure and snorted coldly in his heart. There are always troublemakers trying to harm my fox. Then, he picked up the bowl of lotus seed soup that Liu Qingyao had brought, walked over to me, crouched down, and said in a detached, businesslike tone, "Open your mouth." I obediently opened my mouth. He scooped a spoonful of lotus seed soup, carefully blew on it, and then fed it to me. The temperature is just right. It won't burn her. The taste is pretty good, but it's a bit too sweet. Jua doesn't seem to like things too sweet. Next time, I'll make it for her myself. While being personally fed by the righteous leader, I listened to his doting inner monologue, feeling so blissful that my tail almost wagged up to the sky. Having such a tsunda, fluff-loving master doesn't seem too bad after all. Liu Qingyao's appearance was like a pebble dropped into a lake. Though it didn't cause huge ripples, it made some people in the immortal sect take notice of my existence. Soon, rumors about immortal Venerable Xie keeping a hidden beauty and being bewitched by a demon sect enchantress spread throughout the cloud-top immortal palace. Finally, several elders from the immortal sect could no longer sit still and came together to the celestial pivot peak. Leading them was the discipline elder, who oversaw punishments, a gaunt-faced old man with a sinister glare. When they arrived, I was lying on the grass in the courtyard, letting Xie Buyan use an exquisite jade comb to groom the fur on my tail. Of course, in the eyes of others, it appeared as though Xie Buyan stood with his hands behind his back, watching me coldly, while I was the reckless demoness attempting to seduce the immortal venerable with my charms. "Nephew Xie." The voice of the discipline elder boomed like a great bell, filled with fury. "What are you doing? Why haven't you thrown this demoness into the demon lock tower yet? Look at what rumors are spreading outside." Xie Buyan slowly turned around, his face still wearing that unperturbed expression. "Greetings, discipline elder." He bowed, neither humble nor arrogant. "This demoness holds vital secrets of the demonic sect. I am trying to pry them from her mouth. It is not advisable to use torture, lest she sever her own meridians and end her life." "Nonsense, I just can't bear to," he answered honestly in his heart. The discipline elder clearly did not believe this excuse. He snorted coldly. "I think you've been bewitched by this seductress. Can't pry open her mouth. Let me handle it. Our immortal sect's bone-corroding nail can break even the toughest of men. I refuse to believe it can't subdue a mere demoness." As he spoke, a long nail shimmering with an eerie green light appeared in his withered hand. The bone-eroding nail. My heart tightened. I had heard of this thing. It was one of the most vicious torture tools used by immortal sects. Once driven into the body, it would ceaselessly gnaw at the victim's bone marrow day and night, causing unbearable agony and making death a mercy beyond reach. I instinctively shrank back, all 9 of my tails tensing up nervously. Xie Buyan's eyes instantly turned cold. How dare he? If he dares to lay a finger on Jua, I'll cripple him today. Inside, he was filled with unprecedented fury, but on the surface, he remained composed and said calmly, "Elder, the interrogation was personally assigned to me by the sect leader. Until there is a result, no one has the right to interfere." He moved out of the sect leader's residence. The discipline elder's expression shifted, but he still refused to back down. "The sect leader trusted you, but look at the mess you've made now. If you can't bring yourself to do it, then step aside and let me handle it." Holding the bone-corroding nail, he advanced toward me step by step. I could feel the chilling aura emanating from that long nail, and all the fur on my body stood on end. I instinctively looked at Xie Buyan. He stood before me, like an insurmountable mountain. "I'll say it one more time." His voice was already laced with killing intent. "Step back. Dare to touch my fox. You're asking for death. Don't be afraid." "Jua, I'm here." His inner voice, like a warm current, instantly soothed my tense emotions. The discipline elder was intimidated by the powerful aura emanating from him, pausing in his steps, but still roared with a fierce yet weak tone, "Xie Buyan, for the sake of a demoness, are you going to make an enemy of the entire immortal sect? She is not a sorceress." Xie Buyan looked at me, enunciating each word clearly. "She is mine." The moment the words fell, the entire courtyard fell silent. The elders were dumbfounded, as if they had heard some incredible tale, and Xie Buyan's heart also experienced a brief shutdown because of the words that had slipped out of his mouth. What did I just say? I said she's mine. Oh my God, I actually blurted out what was on my mind. It's over, it's over. Now even jumping into the yellow river won't wash me clean. But since it's already said, It actually feels pretty good. I looked at his slightly reddened earlobes and couldn't help but curl the corners of my mouth. This reserved guy finally admitted it. You're absolutely insane. The elder of discipline trembled with rage, pointing at Xie Buyan, unable to form a complete sentence for a long time. Xie Buyan, do you realize what you're saying? She is a demoness from the evil cult. Good and evil are irreconcilable. Are you planning to betray the sect? I didn't. Xie Buyan's expression returned to calm, but his tone was resolute. I'm merely stating a fact. She is my captive now, and her life or death is for me to decide. Until the interrogation is over, no one is to touch her. He had twisted the concept, turning the ambiguous declaration of she is mine into a claim of ownership. Yes, that's right. She is my trophy, and I can deal with her however I please. It's none of your business. I'm such a clever little devil. I was almost amused by his bizarre train of thought. The discipline elder was left speechless by his retort, his aged face flushing a deep, purplish red. He knew that, in terms of strength, the few of them combined were no match for Xie Buyan. In terms of status, Xie Buyan was the next successor personally appointed by the sect leader. Today, they have no choice but to swallow their pride, whether they want to or not. Fine. The elder of discipline spat out 3 fines in a row, shooting me a venomous glare. Xie Buyan, just you wait. I will report to the sect leader immediately and see how he deals with you. This misguided disciple bewitched by that demoness. With that, he stormed off in a huff, his sleeves fluttering angrily, followed by the other elders. Once again, only Xie Buyan and I were left in the courtyard. He turned around and looked at me with a complicated expression in his eyes. Did I scare her? The discipline elder looked so fierce just now. Did she understand what I just said? Will she think I'm too frivolous? I shouldn't have locked her up here, it's too dangerous. I should have hidden her in my room. No, that would make things even harder to explain. The little theater in his mind had started playing out scenes again. Seeing how conflicted he looked, I took a few steps toward him, then gently and appeasingly brushed the back of his hand with my fluffiest tail. Xie Buyan stiffened all over, his gaze fell on my tail, and his Adam's apple bobbed. Is she comforting me? So well behaved. I really want to hug her. I raised my head, looking at him with my most innocent and purest eyes, and said softly, Immortal Venerable, thank you. This thank you seemed to be some kind of switch. Xie Buyan could no longer hold back. He abruptly pulled me into his arms and held me tightly. This embrace came so suddenly that I was completely stunned, my cheek pressed against his cool collar. And I could hear his heart pounding like a drum. Don't be afraid. His voice, for the first time, carried warmth, low and husky. It sounded by my ear. I'm here, finally got to hold you, so soft, and you have a faint, sweet scent. I will never let anyone harm you. His inner voice and the words from his mouth aligned completely for the first time. Held in his arms, I breathed in the cool scent of cedar from him, listened to his firm yet gentle heartbeat, and felt a deep sense of peace within. So this is what it feels like to be protected by someone without any reservation. The outcome of the discipline elder's complaint took everyone by surprise. The leader of the Cloudtop Immortal Palace, Xie Buyan's master, the true immortal Shenqing, merely said calmly, Buyan has always acted with discretion. I trust him, and with that, the matter was lightly set aside. At this, the entire immortal sect was thrown into an uproar. Everyone felt that the sect leader was far too partial to Xie Buyan. Only I know that Master Shenqing probably saw through everything long ago. Perhaps he knows some secrets about Xie Buyan's origins, but this move is undoubtedly adding fuel to the fire. Upon hearing the news, Liu Qingyao was so furious that she nearly smashed her boudoir. Jealousy and resentment drove her completely out of her mind. She did something no one expected. She secretly opened the Cloud Immortal Palace's mountain protecting formation and transmitted my location to the demon sect. Her idea was simple. Since the righteous path couldn't touch me, she'd use the demon sect's hand instead. Ideally, the demon sect would launch a full-scale attack to rescue me, the demoness, and in the chaos, both Xie Buyan and I would perish. Putting an end to everything once and for all, she thought she had done it without anyone knowing, but she didn't realize that Xie Buyan had long since set up an impenetrable net around the courtyard where I lived. Not even the slightest fluctuation of spiritual energy could escape his perception. The moment Liu Qingyao's message talisman flew out, Xie Buyan was already aware of it. He didn't make a fuss, but quietly tightened the security around Tian Shu Peak. Foolish woman. Trying to kill with a borrowed knife, you should first see if that knife is sharp enough. Fine, this is a good opportunity to also take care of those who have grievances against Zhu'er. In his mind, he was already devising a plan to kill two birds with one stone, and I knew nothing about it. I still live the life of a salted fish, being fed and petted. Even because of the last hero saving the beauty, Xie Buyan treats me even better. He is no longer satisfied with coming secretly at night but openly moves a lounge chair to the grass where I sunbathe, under the pretext of monitoring. While reading, he would occasionally reach out to rub my ears or stroke my tail. This angle is just perfect. The sunlight falls on Zhu'er's fur, as if gilded with a golden edge. The feel is so good, I can't go a day without touching it. He has completely given up on treatment. I lie at his feet, enjoying his caress. Comfortably squinting my eyes, time is quiet, the world is peaceful. I had almost forgotten that I am still the feared enchantress of the demon sect, while he is the revered immortal master of the righteous path. Between us lies an insurmountable chasm. The demon sect's movements came faster than expected. On the third night after Liu Qingyao sent the message, the alarm bell of the Cloudtop Immortal Palace rang out. Enemy attack. The demon sect is charging up. A piercing cry tore through the quiet night sky. I jolted awake from my sleep, and as soon as I opened my eyes, I saw Xie Buyan already fully dressed, holding a long sword, standing by my bedside. His expression was one of gravity I had never seen before. Stay here, don't go out, he said to me in a low voice. I've set up a barrier, no one can harm you. The demon sect has finally arrived. Leading them is the Scarlet Flame Venerable, Zhu'er's deputy. Known for his volatile temper and ruthless nature, he must not see Zhu'er here, or there will be trouble. He turned to leave. I instinctively jumped off the bed and grabbed his sleeve. Where are you going? I'll go check the front. He turned back and patted my hand reassuringly. Don't worry, I'll be back soon. I have to lure Kai Yang away. I absolutely cannot let him get near the Tian Shu Peak. Zhu'er, wait for me obediently. I watched his retreating figure. A strong sense of unease welling up in my heart. Flame Lord, of course I know him. I personally promoted him, and he is loyal to me. But he is indeed impulsive and aggressive. That fool Liu Qingyao, she has no idea what kind of beast she has unleashed. I can't let Xie Buyan go alone. I tried to strike the shackles on my wrist. The restraints had loosened considerably after these days of rest. I summoned all my demonic power and fiercely slammed it against the core of the restraint. Bang! With a crisp snap, the shackles broke apart. The long-lost, immense power surged back through every part of my body. Without a moment's hesitation, I transformed into a white streak and dashed out of the small courtyard. The barrier outside the courtyard was as if non-existent to me, who had been granted permission to enter. I rushed toward the source of the most intense sounds of combat, and from a distance, I could see two figures engaged in a fierce battle in mid-air. One was Xie Buyan. Clad in snow-white robes, his sword energy sweeping across like a deity descending to the mortal world. On the other side was a man clad in crimson armor, wielding a blazing spear, none other than Kai Yang. Around them, disciples of the immortal sects and followers of the demonic cult were locked in chaotic combat. Flames soared into the sky, and the clamor of battle was deafening. I saw Liu Qingyao, hiding behind an elder, watching the battle in the sky with a look of malicious delight on her face. She probably thought her scheme had succeeded. Just then, Kai Yang thrust his spear to force Xie Buyan back, shouting loudly, Xie Buyan, hand over our sect leader now, or I'll level your Cloudtop Immortal Palace today. His roar, full of vigor, echoed throughout the entire mountain. Everyone froze in shock. The demon sect leader, Su Jiuli, wasn't she imprisoned by immortal venerable Xie? How could the demon sect know so clearly? In an instant, all suspicious, probing, and contemptuous gazes turned toward Xie Buyan. Even the people within the immortal sect began to look at him with strange expressions. Xie Buyan's face darkened as if dripping with water. Damn it, I've been exposed after all. Seeing his silence, Kai Yang thought he was guilty and intensified his attack. I bet you've done something shameful and don't dare to speak. Let me tell you, if you don't hand over our sect leader today, even if I die, I'll tear a piece of flesh from you. He fought like a madman, completely disregarding his own life. Although Xie Buyan's cultivation was superior to his, for a moment, he found himself entangled and unable to break free. Meanwhile, the discipline elder, along with a group of disciples, had quietly surrounded the area. Their target was not the demonic sect, but Xie Buyan. Xie Buyan, the discipline elder shouted loudly, you colluded with the demon sect, harbored a demoness in secret, the evidence is irrefutable, surrender now. Surrounded on all sides, this was their true purpose. They want to take advantage of the chaos to depose Xie Buyan, the future sect leader. Senior brother, Liu Qingyao also seized the moment to step forward, her face full of anguish and disappointment. How could you do such a thing? You've let me down so much. She acted with such heartfelt emotion, as if she truly had no idea about Xie Buyan's alleged collusion with the demonic sect. What a classic case of a thief crying stop thief. Xie Buyan, caught between Kai Yang and the discipline elder, found himself in immediate peril. He shot a glance at Liu Qingyao, his eyes as cold as ice. I knew you would show yourself. Once I finish here, you're next. He had made up his mind to kill, but his current situation was indeed dire. The strength of the Scarlet Flame was not to be underestimated. And the disciplinary elder's side had both numbers and power. All of them wanted him dead. I can't wait any longer. I emerged from the shadows, my 9 fox tails flaring out boldly behind me, a powerful demonic aura instantly sweeping through the entire scene. Everyone, stop right there. My voice wasn't loud, but it clearly reached every single person's ears. Everyone halted their actions, staring at me in disbelief. Leader, seeing me, Kai Yang was both shocked and overjoyed. You're all right, that's wonderful. Su Jiuli, seeing me, the elder of discipline, was both shocked and furious. You witch, you actually broke free from the restraints. Liu Qingyao's face instantly turned deathly pale, and Xie Buyan, the moment he saw me appear, had an expression more grim than ever before. What he was thinking wasn't that I could help him out of this predicament, but rather, Zhu, how did she get out? Who let her out? It's too dangerous here. His heart was filled with overwhelming worry and anxiety. His first instinct wasn't to confront the enemy, but to dart in front of me, shielding me behind him, and scold in a low voice, go back, this is no place for you. Looking at his broad back, a warmth spread through my heart. Even at a time like this, what he cared about was still my safety. I shook my head and stood shoulder to shoulder with him. I told you, you're mine. If anyone dares to lay a finger on you, they'll have to answer to my 9 tails first. I mimicked the words he had said earlier, my tone carrying a hint of dominance and teasing. Xie Buyan trembled slightly, turning to look at me with a complex expression in his eyes. She heard everything. His ears, once again, turned red without any shame. Leader, who is this pretty boy? Did he bully you? Kai Yang rushed over with a gun in hand, glaring at Xie Buyan with hostility. He's not a pretty boy, I corrected. He is my man, Red Flame. Discipline elder, the immortal sect members, everyone looked at me as if I were a madman, a demonic cult leader, claiming the righteous sect's leader is her person. This world has truly become surreal. Xie Buyan's heart, because of my words, once again set off a fireworks show. She said, I'm her person. She said I'm her person, rounded off. That means we're together. Even though the timing isn't right, I'm so happy. What should I do? Esteemed immortal, isn't your focus a bit off? Is this the time to be happy, spreading heresy to deceive the masses? The discipline elder was the first to react, shouting in a furious rage, look, they really are in cahoots. Everyone, attack together, cleanse our ranks, and slay this demoness. At his command, the disciples of the immortal sect immediately regrouped and charged toward us. Protect the sect leader. Kai Yang also roared, leading the demon sect followers to meet the attack. An even more chaotic battle instantly erupted. Xie Buyan and I became the center of the battlefield. Stay close to me. Xie Buyan shielded me behind him, his long sword weaving sharp, fierce arcs, blocking every attack that came near. Damn, there are too many of them. I must take Jua away from here as soon as possible. I wasn't idle either. My 9 fox tails lashed out like 9 white whips, nimbly striking and sending the ambushing immortal sect disciples flying. Our coordination turned out to be unexpectedly seamless. He focused on offense, I on defense, for a time. No one could get close to us. Liu Qingyao watched us fighting side by side, her eyes turning red with jealousy. She quietly drew something from her bosom. It was a black awl, covered in eerie inscriptions, soul-devouring awl, a forbidden artifact of the demonic path, extremely vicious, capable of directly attacking a person's soul. Once struck, the victim may suffer from soul damage and a regression in cultivation at best, or complete soul dissipation and eternal oblivion at worst. She actually has something like this. Her target is me, taking advantage of everyone's attention being drawn to the chaotic fight. She quietly slipped around to my side and rear, her eyes gleaming with madness and venom. Die, you vixen. She poured all her spiritual power into the soul-devouring awl, which transformed into a streak of black light, shooting toward my heart with lightning speed. In that instant, I sensed a deadly danger. But it was already too late for me to dodge. I watched helplessly as that black light drew closer and closer to me. Just when I thought I was doomed, a white figure suddenly blocked in front of me. It was Xie Buyan. He didn't even have time to turn around. Driven by instinct, he used his own body to build a barrier for me. Phut! The soul-devouring spike, without any hindrance, plunged into his back. Time seemed to stand still at that moment. I watched as he slowly turned around. His face as pale as paper, a trickle of blood seeping from the corner of his mouth. He looked at me, his eyes not filled with pain, but with overwhelming relief and lingering fear. Thank goodness, he smiled weakly. Thank goodness you're all right. Great, Jua is safe. It's just, it hurts a bit. His inner voice, intermittent, was as faint as a candle flame in the wind. Then, his body went limp, and he collapsed straight toward me. Xie Buyan. I let out a piercing scream and caught his falling body. Warm blood quickly stained his snow-white robe and also dyed my vision red. Holding him, I felt my entire world crumble in that very moment. Senior brother, Liu Qingyao was also dumbfounded. She never expected that Xie Buyan would use his own body to block that fatal blow for me. She only wanted to kill me. She never intended to harm Xie Buyan. The entire scene fell into a deathly silence because of this sudden turn of events. Everyone stopped what they were doing, staring at us in a daze. I let out a long howl towards the sky, filled with endless rage and sorrow. An immense, heart-stopping demonic power erupted from within me, soaring into the sky and dyeing the entire night blood red. My eyes instantly turned crimson gold, and the 9 snow-white foxtails behind me were visibly dyed an eerie red at a rapid pace. The 9-tailed celestial fox, bloodline awakened. This is a mutation that only occurs when emotions are pushed to the extreme. The power after awakening is capable of destroying heaven and earth. You too. I slowly raised my head, my crimson gold eyes coldly sweeping over everyone present, the discipline elder, Liu Qingyao, and all the sect disciples who had joined the siege. All of you will die. My voice carried not a trace of emotion, like a verdict from the depths of the underworld. Leader, Kai Yang looked at me, his eyes filled with awe and worry. He knew that the sect leader was truly enraged this time. Demon, Demonis, she has turned into a demon. The discipline elder, terrified by the terrifying aura emanating from me, staggered backward, his voice trembling. I can't be bothered to argue with them. I carefully placed Xie Buyan, who was in my arms, on the ground and set up a protective barrier around him. Then, I stood up, and my red figure appeared in front of Liu Qingyao like a ghost in an instant. Liu Qingyao was scared out of her wits, screaming and trying to flee. I grabbed her by the neck and lifted her up. It was you who hurt him. I looked at her face, flushed from suffocation, and spoke word by word. No, it wasn't me. I didn't mean to. Liu Qingyao struggled in terror. Her eyes filled with tears. I don't care if you did it on purpose or not. My grip tightened with increasing force. Anyone who hurts him deserves to go to hell. Click, a crisp sound of bone cracking. Liu Qingyao's head drooped weakly, her eyes still holding an endless fear. I casually tossed her corpse to the ground, like throwing away a piece of trash. Then, I turned to the discipline elder. Next, it's you. The precept elder was so terrified that he pissed and shit himself, turning around to flee. But how could he possibly outrun me? A crimson foxtail behind me, like a venomous snake, instantly wrapped around his ankle and dragged him back. Demonis, how dare you? I am an elder of the immortal sect. If you kill me, the entire righteous path will not let you off. He screamed in terror. Is that so? I walked up to him, looking down from above. Then I'd like to see whether your righteous path is stronger, or my tail is tougher. With that, I raised my foot and stomped hard on his chest. Phut! The discipline elder spat out a mouthful of blood, his eyes rolled back, and he passed out cold. I didn't kill him. Killing him would have been too merciful. I want him to live, to witness with his own eyes how the immortal sect he defends trembles beneath my feet. I glanced around, and every disciple of the immortal sect caught by my gaze dropped their weapons in fear, kneeling on the ground, trembling uncontrollably. Get lost. I spoke only one word. They fled from Tianshu Peak as if granted a pardon, scrambling away in a panic. The entire battlefield was left with only the members of the demon sect and Xiebuyan, lying on the ground, his condition unknown. The sect leader is mighty. The sect leader's divine power is unparalleled. The cult followers erupted in earth-shaking cheers. Kai Yang walked to my side, looking at the mess all over the ground with a complicated expression. Leader, what do we do now? Retreat. I interrupted him, my voice filled with exhaustion. The power within me, after killing Liu Qingyao and severely injuring the discipline elder, receded like a tide. The after-effects of the bloodline awakening surged up, and I felt dizzy and unsteady, my body swaying as if about to collapse. Leader. Kai Yang quickly reached out to steady me. I shook my head, pushed him away, and staggered over to Xiebuyan, lifting him into my arms. His body was cold. His breathing so faint it was almost imperceptible. The soul-devouring spike was still embedded in his back, emanating an ominous black aura. My heart feels as if gripped tightly by an invisible hand, aching so much I can hardly breathe. Kai Yang, relay my command, holding Xiebuyan in my arms. My voice hoarse, I said, from today onward, no one from the demon sect is to set foot in the Cloud Palace even half a step. Those who disobey will be executed without mercy. Kai Yang was stunned. Sect leader, why? We could take this opportunity to launch a full-scale attack and, no reason why. I looked at him coldly. This is an order. Kai Yang glanced at Xiebuyan in my arms, seemed to understand something, and finally lowered his head. Yes, I obey. Let's go. I held Xiebuyan, turning around to leave this place that had brought me so much sorrow. Jua. A faint voice came from within my arms. I looked down and saw that Xiebuyan had opened his eyes at some point, gazing at me weakly. His lips were pale from blood loss, but his eyes remained bright. Can't let her go. If she leaves, I'll never see her again. His inner voice was filled with panic and reluctance. Don't speak. My tears fell uncontrollably, dripping onto his face. I'll take you away. I'll bring you to the best physicians. You'll be all right. It's no use. He shook his head and smiled bitterly. It's the soul-devouring spike. My spirit is about to scatter. That's impossible. I roared at him like a wounded beast. I won't let you die. Absolutely not. I channeled my demonic energy into his body continuously, trying to slow the dissipation of his spirit, but it was like trying to put out a fire with a cup of water. His life force was still fading away bit by bit. Jua. He raised his hand, wanting to touch my face, but couldn't even manage such a simple action. I wish I could stroke her tail one more time. I heard his inner thoughts, and my heart felt as if it were being cut by a knife. I lowered my head and pressed my cheek against his cold hand. At the same time, I extended one of my tails and gently brought it to his hand. He finally got his wish, touching the soft fur. A faint, satisfied smile appeared on his face. Wonderful. His voice grew fainter, his eyelids heavier. Xiebuyan, you're not allowed to sleep. Look at me. I forbid you to sleep. I shook him in panic. Jua, don't cry. You don't look good when you cry. Actually, I'm not human. I'm an ancient divine beast. By Ze, I've always liked fluffy things. What a pity I couldn't tell you in person that I like you. His inner voice became the final echo. Then, his hand fell limp, the entire world fell silent in an instant. I don't know how I managed to bring Xiaobuyan's body back to the demon sect. My mind went blank, leaving only his final thoughts echoing over and over again. Bai Zi, an ancient divine beast, omniscient, able to discern fortune and avoid calamity. So, he wasn't human. No wonder he was so obsessed with furry things. It turns out, it wasn't some peculiar fetish, but an instinct engraved in his bloodline. I placed him on the ice bed in my chamber. The soul-devouring spike had already been removed by my secret technique, but his soul was shattered beyond repair, almost impossible to gather. All the demon sect's physicians were at a loss. They all said that the immortal venerable was already dead. Beyond any hope of revival. I didn't believe it. He said he is Bai Zi. A divine beast doesn't die that easily. I searched through all the ancient texts of the demon sect and finally, in an inconspicuous corner, found records about the ancient divine beast, Bai Zi. The book says that the White Marsh has a companion spirit, the heart-to-heart pendant. The amulet is divided into yin and yang. The divine beast holds the yang amulet, while the yin amulet will appear on the person destined to be bound to it. As long as the holder of the yin amulet is found, using the blood from the heart as a guide, the spirit can be reunited. It felt like I had grabbed onto the last lifeline. I began to frantically search for that so-called yin amulet. I searched the entire demon sect but couldn't find him. Could it be that person isn't in the demon sect? I returned to my chamber in despair, looking at Xiaobuyan lying lifeless on the ice bed, my heart filled with hopelessness. Are we ultimately just playthings of fate? I instinctively reached for my chest, where a crescent-shaped jade pendant had hung since I was a child. I was born with it. My master said it was my protective talisman. I took it out. It was a smooth, warm piece of white jade, intricately carved with cloud patterns. I looked at it and, as if bewitched, reached out my hand and slipped it into Xiaobuyan's collar. On his chest, I felt something equally cold and hard. I pulled it out. It was also a crescent-shaped jade pendant, and this piece on me, whether in material, size, or the cloud patterns on it, is exactly the same. The only difference is that his piece emits a faint yang energy, while mine carries a hint of yin softness. The two jade pendants, as if drawn by some force, flew from my hands and merged in mid-air, becoming one complete circular jade pendant. On the jade pendant, a brilliant light shone, revealing two ancient seal script characters. One heart. I am the one who wears the yin pendant. Is it fate that binds us together? I stared blankly at the suspended matching pendant floating in the air, overwhelmed by a whirlwind of emotions. There was shock, there was ecstasy, and a faint, indescribable sense of destiny.